Cuckoo.
All together now.
Cuckoo. Cuckoo.
Woo!
Cuckoo.
Happy birthday to you.
What's going on, guys and gals? Welcome to Good Will Hunting. It's your boy Brad. The Brett Band is right over there. Chris is here for this very special occasion tonight because we're going to be giving you a spoiler review. All spoilers galore for Longlegs. It just came out. We did the spoiler-free review, but we decided, hey, let's talk more about it. We're bringing Chris on. It's going to be a really relaxed, laid-back atmosphere tonight. We brought Chris on because Chris didn't like the movie. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. I'm spoiling it. I'm throwing him under the bus.
Hey,
we're gonna,
hey, bus early.
But hey, listen, I like that though. We're going to come in with different perspectives. There's plenty of people who didn't like the movie. It actually on Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's like a 60. It's pretty divided. A lot of people, we've seen some people in the comments didn't like it. Nothing wrong with that. We're just looking forward to getting different opinions here tonight. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
But before we get to the spoiler talk, Chris, let's just get a quick recap. What are your initial thoughts about Longlegs, and how do you rate this movie?
Yeah, man. To say that I didn't like it, yeah, that's probably fair. Look, I went into this thing with really high expectations. Maybe that tainted my experience with it a little bit. I didn't completely hate it. It just did not work for me. So much of it did not land. There's so many things that I do love about it. It just didn't. So many things I didn't love about it, and that didn't work for me. But I mean. And I wanted to love it. I kept telling myself to, just take it easy. It's like it, And even when Nick Cage was on screen, I was like, this is creepy, right? This is creepy, right? But I just kept wanting to laugh, and so shit like that just didn't work for me. And I still give it probably a 3.5, 3.75 out of 5 for me. I mean, it's probably still better than. You know what this is like? Do you guys remember The Northman a couple years ago? I was so stoked to see The Northman, and you guys loved it. And I had this same experience with that where I really wanted to love it, and it just didn't land. But it was still way better than a lot of shit that came out, whatever, 2021 or whatever year that was. Mm-hmm. And I feel that way about this. It's still going to be a lot better than a lot of shit that comes out this year. It just didn't land for me the way that I wanted it to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you think a part of that Nick Cage making you chuckle thing is partly because we just love Nick? It's partly because we love Nick Cage so much and we just know him. Like, because I did have that pop up. I think they did a good job of making him unrecognizable from a physical standpoint. But when he bust into that song that one time, dude, and he's sitting there, come on in here, boy, if you want to pay the toll. I don't know what the words were.
I'll tell you when it all went downhill, because the opening scene and the aspect ratio changes, and that thing at the beginning I thought was properly fucking creepy. I thought it was great. It wasn't until he does the cuckoo thing that Birdie was doing in the store, and the little girl is like, Dad, the fucking creepy old guy's here again. And then he drives on the way home and he's like, Mommy, Daddy. And I was like, fuck, man, that's Nick Cage all the way right there.
You know what I thought? I thought he was legit.
It stopped working for me right there.
Dude, I thought he legit was going to go, Nick, motherfucker! Woo!
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with someone who saw the movie at work. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll just say this real quick. It felt like in the movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, if they had done a cutback to, like, he has a conversation with Pedro Pascal, and Pascal says, remember that time that you played that serial killer and it cut back to Longlegs, like, as a joke? Like, that would have fit in there perfectly, like as a spoof. You know what I mean? So that's how I felt about it.
Oh, dude, know that Pedro Pascal's got to have that metal ball added to his collection now.
Yeah,
he's got the whole But I mean, Bert said in our other review, and it kind of makes sense. Like, to me, yes, huge Nicolas Cage fans, we all are. So when I see him, I hear him, like I think back to all the goofy ass shit that he's done. But I think if you take like, if it was, I mean, it still is going to be Nick Cage. But if you didn't know like if you didn't know who it was and he was put in this movie, I think it would have been very effective. And I think he was so creepy in the like even the mama, like he's about to bust out in what's that song?
Mama.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
But I think part of the reason is because we're so connected to Nick Cage. But I still, even that though, seeing him do that and busting out in that song was like it's kind of creepy still. It's unnerving. And because Nick Cage is already kind of psycho, and just in real life, like it carries over nicely to this character, I think.
Yeah. To be fair, I will say, I appreciate the performance, the performative quality of it. I think that it was cool that Oz Perkins really let him go like full Nick Cage and do his own thing, and he puts his own spin on it. I thought that the prosthetics and what they did with that was properly creepy. It just there was a certain point when he's singing in the car where it just became like so completely. It didn't, for me, it didn't match the tone of the rest of the movie, and I couldn't get it to go there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm glad you guys did, for what it's worth, and I wanted to. I just couldn't get it. I couldn't get there.
No, man, that's fair. But shoot, how do we want to start really spoiling the hell out of this movie? Should we go with that opening scene with Maika Monroe picking the right house?
Yeah, I thought it started off fantastically. Two really tense scenes back to back. You got the one with the aspect ratio shrunken in the snow where we run into Longlegs for the first time, which by the way,
I thought the theater messed up or something. It's like, theater, something's wrong with this movie. And then once the title got been expanded, I'm like, oh.
Honestly, I was cool. Kind of, when it popped up, I was kind of like, am I going to hate it? Like, because I thought for a second it was going to be the entire movie was going to be in that aspect ratio. And I was like, am I going to hate this or am I going to love this? Because it's kind of out there. And the way that was set up when you can only see his mouth, and that was creepy, dude.
And that split second of seeing his eyes, so it's like you didn't get a good look at it, but then you want to watch the movie to see what it fully looks like. Yeah, I thought that was masterfully done.
Yeah,
that really first scene was like
that running fantastic. Into a stranger in the woods kind of thing, And I don't know, he fit that. But then Birdie, we go into that other scene too right after, very tense, where. Which, by the way, Maika Monroe, awesome. We get introduced to her character, and they go into that house. Her partner's head gets blown off after she's like, "Hey, this is the house. They're looking for another killer, not related."
Hey, neighbor! Bam!
You mean the guy that looks like Robert Pattinson was given a Jazzerciser for Christmas? I'll tell you, if you guys watch that movie again, that whole time I was like, "Man, the guy looks like Robert Pattinson," but his jawline is like,
it's
great
big. Yeah,
version.
He was like small, like he was. He had that look about him, man. He goes to the door, gets freaking blown away. But it plays those things. It's like, hey, what's going on with this Maika character, man? She got like some kind of psychic ability or something like that, picking out houses, or she's just really intuitive. I don't know.
Or she has a sixth sense.
Yeah, or seventh one even.
Oh, I think damn, he raised one.
There's actually a deleted scene in the car where she looks over at him and she's like, "Did you know Bruce Willis was dead the whole time?"
Fuck Bruce Willis, Chris.
That was probably buddy. Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. That aspect of her character never really came full circle, really, did it? I mean, she wasn't flat out psychic. I don't think it ever really came out to be like that, but she was more so
autistic, buddy. It's the only way. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. The whole time I was watching, I was like, are we gonna get to the part where we figure out how far on the spectrum she is or something? Because that was something else I kind of had a problem with, and I'm sure what we're gonna get to.
Are you talking about her monotone acting
in time? Well, I mean, just the fact that character, I mean, there's not she I'll say this, the performance was great. She does such a great job of conveying fear and taking the audience on that ride with her. She does such a great job of along with the cinematography of such a huge part of the scariness of it is her performance, right? Her conveying the fear and everything. But as far as the character goes, there's not that much depth there. There's nothing to really connect to For me, at least, that was my experience with it. You guys may have a different take on it, but I thought that there wasn't a lot of depth to that. And it's not just about the question of is she psychic or what's going on there. It's just there wasn't that much depth there.
Yeah, there was a lot of. I felt there was a lot of. It seemed like through her performance, you could tell she had something traumatic in her past. She was holding on to something. She was, she was not letting everybody know everything that was going on that she knew. Like, she was hiding some secrets, and you could tell that just through her performance, which I thought was really cool. There wasn't any super detailed, character traits or anything crazy. But I thought, that being said, I thought it fit really nicely within this dark tone of the movie. I think if you give her too much, then it can be distracting. It can pull you out of this dark and twisted and sick ass world we're living in for a little bit. So I think it works really well with what they're trying to do. I didn't have any issues with it. Remember she got to sit down. She comes in for that one. She meets her boss's kid there for a little bit. They're hanging out in bed. And
yeah, dude.
That's like, hey, do you want me, my kid, and my family?
No. Or she said, to? Yeah. Do I have to? Yeah. Yep.
And he's
That's
hammered.
awesome.
And she goes in there and they're like, oh, you want to come to a birthday party? I'll be there. It's like no emotion at all. She doesn't want to be there. She hates every ounce of it. But I thought she pulled it off really well though. Birdie, what are your thoughts on her as in total with this movie?
Oh no, I thought she was fantastic. Again, I know I just alluded to Chris, like she kind of has like a monotone style to her, but again, like I always say about her, she just has this aura about her that really just drags you into her. And I don't think I have another like actress that kind of does that for me, other than Anya Taylor-Joy. That it's just something about them that it draws you to them, and that's why whatever they do on screen kind of works for you. But other than that, though, I've been hearing a lot of the problems is with her kind of like predicting the future or sidekick or whatever Billy you want to call it. But in the third act, they do explain that, and I'm sure we're going to get to the third act talk here soon, and we'll go into further detail. But just know it's because of that third act, that's how she got that ability. So don't say they didn't explain it or it's just there randomly. It's not.
Tell me some good things, man. What'd you like about this
good
movie?
thing? I mean, look, I think the cinematography was chef's kiss, top notch. I think just a lot of trees, a lot of snow. I fucking love Oregon, and it did such a good job of encapsulating the sort of isolation of that, and a lot of dark, washed out colors, a lot of grays and things like that. But also a lot of empty space, which I thought was used really well. Even though you're not seeing anything inherently scary on the screen, it's sort of this empty space. You have to think about, what's coming and something right around the corner. I loved all of that. The performances were great. Nicolas Cage, like I said, I appreciate his performance. It just didn't work for me. Maika Monroe, of course, is... was fantastic. I had nothing. Her performance aided the film. One that no one's talking about, dude. I didn't even know that the mother was Alicia Witt for the first couple of minutes that she was on there. I was like, holy shit, that's Alicia Witt. So I think that her makeup was maybe better than Nick Cage's. But nevertheless, she was great in there. Honestly, not really. His prosthetics were great, but I thought her performance was fantastic, and really, she was creepy as fuck. So she did a great job. But yeah, so all of that stuff aided in the creepiness. That all worked, man. The atmosphere, the aspect ratio changes whenever it's a flashback, and all of the sort of demonic scenery that they project whenever like the snakes doused in the red lighting.
Up, dude.
Yeah, dude, every time, and it was kind of a scene that kept recurring to her. All of that stuff worked for me. What didn't work for me was just the entire narrative structure of it. I mean, it's set up as a sort of crime thriller, and I keep seeing it being compared to Seven and Silence of the Lambs and all these other great flicks. Right, yeah. I mean, and it's fair. There's a lot there to as a comparison, but it's not. It didn't deliver on the sort of procedural. Okay, so like take for instance, a big part of the marketing campaign was about all of these these different symbols, these quotes from the Bible or Dante's Inferno and things like that.
Mhm.
And I thought that it sets itself up so perfectly for her to go on this cat and mouse chase of trying to find this serial killer. And the letters effectively pop up for half a second, and then she walks in one scene and is like, "Hey, I deciphered all of his letters." And I was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me!" Well, what's the fucking movie going to be about then? She just deciphered all
She's
the letters.
wicked
in half a
smart.
second.
She's wicked smart. What can I say?
And they found Longlegs towards the middle of the second act. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Okay,
Sure,
yeah, and
it
he's
is.
just sitting there with his bags packed, ready to go to jail, little angel. You know, I mean, where was he going? He's pat his back. My bags are packed. I'm ready. Fuck it.
I'm
But-
ready to go. Oh,
So
you're ready to- okay, I got
that
you.
is the biggest part that didn't, the narrative structure of it, and then also something about it just did not work for me. The second that I realized that they were going supernatural with it and that it was about the devil, I was just zoned out, man. I just wanted. It sets itself up. I mean, the guy's a fucking serial killer for this cat and mouse thing, and I thought that it was just going to be Nicolas Cage and these brutal kills as she's trying to find him. And I know that that's a little unfair because that's like me, you know, having an opinion about the movie that it could have been versus what it actually is. And I think that maybe I'll like it more on the second viewing. I don't know, but I think it just set itself up for that so perfectly. And the marketing campaign sort of suggested that. And so that, you know, and there's this guy on TikTok, and if I remember the handle, I would give him a shout out, but he made the comment that there's as much narrative depth in this as a kiddie pool. And that is basically the way that I perfectly encapsulates the way that I feel about it. I needed that, something more out of that.
The marketing on all of these A24 neon movies is always fucked up. It's always trying to give you a movie that's not going to be. It does it every time, especially something that they can remotely connect to the general audience and make it look like something that people are going to be interested in on a general level. They'll try to label it as something else. Well, yeah,
Besides
they'll
what?
try to label.
it's besides Infinity Pool.
They'll try.
Oh,
They'll
yeah.
try to label it as something else. You know, they'll always do that. They'll always try to label it as something else, like Green Knight and Monkey Man and all these other examples where people like, you know, Northman, which although I don't think that was under these guys, but either way, same thing. Always the rules, the same rules apply. Nosferatu is probably going to be another example of that. But then when you get in there, it's not exactly what you think it's going to be. So marketing didn't do any. Although I will say the marketing was fantastic. I didn't see the
best
trailers.
I've seen in such a long, maybe ever.
I never saw the trailers or anything going in, but I did see like snippets on TikTok and stuff, and I was like, "Damn, that looks fucking cool." Got me pumped up and got amped. It reveals at the end, obviously, after Longlegs dies and everything, and the end reveal is that Maika Rose's mom was the one working the accomplice for Longlegs this whole time. She's been taking these fucking dolls out to people's houses saying, "Oh, you want a price from the church?" And the doll's got some fucking metal ball in its head, and it's saying, "Hey." It basically makes the family fucking kill each other. And that's the whole crux of this movie anyway. Let's go back, take a step back for a minute. We didn't really talk about it in our general review because we didn't want to spoil the plot too much. But basically, all these families are fucking killing each other. Like, you know, they'll go to one house and it's like, oh,
specifically the father is killing everybody.
Yeah, the father's killing everybody and then killing himself. Murder suicide kind of shit.
No
like
B&Es, like nothing. Like they don't know how any of this is happening.
Yeah, we don't know how it's happening. We just know Longlegs is somehow behind it. There's no evidence that he's actually the one fucking killing anybody, but the dad's killing all the people in the house, then killing themselves. There's plenty of different houses that we stop at. A lot of these prior crimes that we stop at throughout the way, which we can get into a little bit more here in a minute. But that's in general what's going on. But anyway, at the end of the movie, they find out that Longlegs' accomplice, Maika Monroe's mom, has been selling these fucking or dropping off these fucking dolls with the metal thing in their head, saying, "Hey, this is your prize," and then that makes them go crazy, and they fucking killed their whole family. Peace out at the end, and that's what happens. That's the twist, kind of at the end, supernatural thing that happened there. I didn't mind it. I thought it was creative. I thought it was something new. We've seen a lot of these serial killer movies where it's just a dude killing people, and yeah, there's different ways you can tell that story, make it creepy. But are you ever going to top fucking True Detective season 1 or 7 or anything like that? No, not really. It's not going to happen. So you might as well give it a nice creative twist to make something different, make something that's going to be a little bit more unique. I don't have a problem with that. They want to put a little supernatural edge on it. Let's bring it. I like it. I'm digging it. I like that.
Yeah, and I hate to say this. I'm not sure if you all like are on the same level or like me of this particular thing. I like as soon as Mika Monroe's character, Lee, first visits her mom, and we finally get to see the mom on screen for the very first time. I knew right then and there, okay, she's fucking a part of this, or she has something to do with something. I just didn't know exactly what, but I just knew she had to be involved in all of it.
I'm the
the
dumbest
first time that she
motherfucker
goes,
around, dude.
the first time that she goes to her mother's house, which and I will say I did pick up and appreciate the dynamic. There's like a Carrie dynamic with her and her mom, you know, when she's on the phone, and
Good
there's these weird
comparison.
references to prayers and things like that. But when I can't, if it's the first or second time she goes to visit her mother, the door to downstairs is locked, and I swear to God, I thought, if he's down there, I'm gonna be so pissed off.
Did he
Spoiler
say
alert,
he's
he's
the
down
man downstairs? Yeah, the man downstairs.
He's down there. He's down there.
Yeah.
He lives in the mother's fucking house. There's also that. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but I saw this in the scene at the very beginning, or towards the beginning, when she drives home at night. She's walking into the house, and there's actually, you can see over her shoulder. You can clearly see that it's the house from the beginning of the movie.
From the movie.
The one covered in snow. Yeah. And right away she goes in there, and she gets called out into the woods, and then you see him sneaking around in the house.
Yeah, when y'all say like the man downstairs, did you really think that it was like Longlegs downstairs at the mother's house? Because I interpreted as the man downstairs being the devil, being Satan. That's what I kind of comprehend that being. Yeah.
Lucifer.
Yeah, because Longlegs is the one that says his friend is the man downstairs or something like that. Yeah, I think you're right, Birdie. I think that's what he's
Yeah, I like your all's interpretation of that because it fits in with exactly him living downstairs.
Well, he's the one that is living downstairs, but then in his downstairs,
quite literally, yeah.
We got downstairs cross emotionation going on here. Like,
oh yeah, cross emotionation. I love it.
Okay, from the investigative aspect of this, and Birdie, we're going to get to that in interrogation scene here very shortly. But the investigation, I found the investigation sequences itself to be very compelling. Maika Monroe's home alone in her cabin in the fucking woods. I don't know why I don't know, very secluded. She's getting fucking packages like Batman over here, like for her birthday cards. That whole scene was creepy as fuck, I thought. Where he drops the card in, and like he's in the house and she's out in the woods looking for him, turns around, sees him in the house, she comes back in and the fucking card's there. All that's creepy. And then they go to all those different houses too where these murders took place. They're sitting on the street and they're like, oh, her boss or whatever is telling her all the crazy shit that happened in there. And they go to the other house where they're like a month after the people been murked, and there's the kid in the bed, and like all that fucking stuff is just, it's gross, man. It had me encapsulated with this story and the evilness that it was portraying. I loved all that. What's y'all's thoughts on this investigative process?
Maggots, Brad. Maggots.
Yeah, they're called maggots.
Did there have to be maggots in there?
It's rice. It's just rice.
I guess I enjoyed all those up to the point where it went supernatural. And then once I realized where it was leading to, I was like, okay, this just doesn't, it all fell apart for me.
Yeah, and I totally get that, Chris. I really do. But I'm like on the same level of Brad. I love me a good like cat mouse like chase kind of story, especially with detectives. Brad. We got that Solve Ivy, cat mouse game and all that. And of course, we allude to Seven and the Silence of the Lambs. So I totally get that, but I agree with Brad over here. We've done it so many times, and you're not going to one up the Silence of the Lambs or Seven. There's no way, no how. God, there's a ghost in my house. But anyways,
that's Fernando.
Oh, fuck you. But no, anyways, I agree. Like, you can't top those two iconic detective movies. So you're kind of like on the path now. Same thing, like if you go like 10 franchises deep into a movie, like 10 movies in a franchise, you're gonna have to be at a point where you have to do something different that stands out on its own. That's the only way you're going to get remembered. And them adding the satanic stuff, like the supernatural stuff, adding to this True Detective, like Brad said, like Neon likes to do swerves and switch the dynamic of what type of horror movie it is. I think it works perfectly, and it helps when you have a great cast and like Maika Monroe and Nicolas Cage help enhancing that transition.
Yeah, did we ever think Neon was going to give us a straight up serial killer slasher or thriller movie? We knew they were going to throw something in there. I
was kind of hoping. Yeah, and I'm not mad. Like,
I mean, I wish that it worked for me, man. It's not the fact that it's that it has a twist to it. I am like you. I preferred that, and I wish that I could pinpoint exactly what point it is that all fell apart. It just didn't work for me, man.
Is it when they started? Is it when they started saying, "Oh, Longlegs, he's got an accomplice," and like maybe like devaluing the value of Longlegs himself? Is this something else?
I don't know. It just felt like it was going to a certain place, and I just felt like it was a cop out that it was this satanic bullshit.
You think it would work better if Longlegs was delivering the dolls?
Nope.
No better.
They screamed us, Brad. They screamed us. There's always two.
Yeah, they did. There's the two.
And also, I mean, let's look at how. So basically, this is your entire story. A guy shows up at your house one day, and he's going to kill you. And then, oh wait a second, I'll make a bargain with you. I'll work for you if you just spare my daughter's life.
Mm-hmm. He said, "All right. Sounds like a deal." Now, I will say, I'm gonna have to watch it again.
That seems a little shallow.
I'm gonna have to watch the movie again because I didn't understand the fucking algorithm and the triangle, like all that shit was like over my head. Mostly because I need subtitles these days when I'm watching the movie. I don't even know what they were saying, so I'm gonna have to watch it. Hit the subtitles, understand a little bit more about that. But as far as this motive stuff, but I thought in general the guy fucking rocked ass. Like I thought he, once a lot of times you get introduced to, you get these serial killers, like you get them all built up and stuff, throughout the movie. You're seeing their work, you're seeing their fucking dark and twisted shit. And once they're finally introduced and they're captured or whatever, they're kind of a letdown. You're like, oh, this guy's just a fucking, he's a loser. Like, like True Detective, man. Like, I mean, the build up to him was better than the villain itself, and I won't say who it was because Birdie might one day in 2029.
I'm trying, damn it.
Maybe one day we'll take our advice and actually watch it.
But when we get to Longlegs, I thought the dude, and this is where we can kind of talk about when he gets interrogated. He gets captured. The buses pull in, the cops show up after they. Mikey gets a picture of him. They're like, this is the fucking guy right here. I know it. He gets captured, taken to say. I thought he lived up to the hype. Once we finally saw him in action, he starts talking to the cops and stuff, and he's doing the happy birthday thing. Again, it's Nick Cage. You're kind of like LOLing, but it's also like this guy's fucking. He's fucking wacko. I mean, he's nuts, yeah. Birdie. What do you think about this, Birdie?
Tell dude, I'm telling you, this is a great comparison of what a rated R Batman scene or a rated R The Dark Knight would have turned out in that interrogation scene when Batman just slams the Joker on the desk. Like, because that's pretty much might as well what this should have been. But like, dude, the creepiness behind, like, this is like peak of like, this is what you hire Nick Cage to do. This is why you bring him onto your movie, to let him just overuse his like just over imagination, just over the topness. That's why I love Nick Cage most of all. It's just his over the topness of putting stuff to his character, the scenes. This is what you bring him on to do. Why you hired the man? Because what he did in that interrogation Sean Sheen. I don't know.
This guy, man. He's too deep.
And this is what you bring Nick Cage on to do. He nailed this thing, and for when he starts smashing his head on that freaking desk, and his nose came off, which again, amazing practical effect note. Unless if you're just Michael Jackson, he just had a bad prosthetic nose. But like, dude, that was actually my favorite scene of the entire movie. It's the whole like, he's been doing that for 24 minutes, and then the interrogation scene. That was my whole favorite scene of the entire movie.
Mike and Monroe's reaction when he starts smashing his face on the fucking table and
and the blood splatters on her.
Yeah, that was her reaction. Awesome. Her reaction sold it, man. Mm-hmm. Sold the hell out of it.
That's why you bring him on for your movie.
That part of it was sort of worked when he actually stopped singing and giggling around and was actually just talking to her about the devil, Bobby, and all those things. That part of it actually worked, yeah. And then the Hail Satan with the face smash, that was fucking great.
You're talking about the friend of a friend, right? Because he knows a friend of a friend. So
yeah, I thought that was all really effective for me. When we did compare this to Seven and stuff in our review, and I still stand by it, but more so of just the dark aura this thing has. I haven't seen a good example of that. Since I really probably Sinister would be the last time that we saw that. That's what I love. That's the comparison that I make.
And same thing for me. Like I haven't seen a movie like that since Seven. That made me just feel like I really don't want to dive into this world and this story that they're building because it's too dark. It makes me eerie. It just makes me feel queasy. But it's so interesting. I can't help but to freaking dive in. What about you, Chris? Did you feel that same dark aura that me and Brad felt for the movie?
I have a hard spot for it. No,
Fucker.
I do have a hard spot for it.
I just heard.
Yeah. Yeah. You look, man, I don't hate it. Okay. It just didn't, there's so many things in it that did not work for me.
Let's talk about the very last piece of it. Like the end piece of a 500, or in this case, this movie, 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. That final scene where Maika Monroe actually got to go to that little girl's birthday party, but it wasn't all happy and joy, full of clowns and poppy corn. It was more a freaking knife stabbing and like shotguns to the head, or not shotgun, but 48 Magnum to the head. But like, dude, that whole last scene, man, that's where Maika Monroe really just went from that monotone acting style to like freaking incredible acting.
I love the transition when she first gets to the door. She knows what's going to happen. She knows that her mom's about to go over there and that family's about to get fucked up. She figured that out. So she shows up over there, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, you're here for the birthday party. I'm glad you made it." And they're like, "Oh, are you okay? Everything's fine. We're about to cut the cake. Come on in, have a good time." As soon as she gets inside, the whole fucking thing transitions to something a little bit more dark and twisted, and they do cut some cake, if you know what I mean.
Oh, dude, let me say this. Let me say this, and we forgot to talk about it. When the dog gets first introduced, it's with the black cloak with those yellow freaking eyes, making it represent like it's Satan, and that scared the shit out of me.
The devil.
That was scary.
It's like that doll is the devil.
The devil.
You got to say, when you're in that living room there at the end, though, the whole family's in there, and Dad's like, "Hey," or she's like, "I'm going to go to the kitchen and cut the cake, and I'll be right back." And he said, "No, motherfucker, I'll be right back. You'll still be in the kitchen."
Yeah, It happened a little bit differently than what I thought it was going to. And then Alicia Witt's just sitting there, like, just like letting the doll do its work, and the kid is just like hugging the doll. So I mean, there's definitely, the tension was super high at the very end of it, and I love that scene to death. I don't mind that ending. The fact that she had to kill her boss, she had to kill her mom. She had to make those decisions to sort of end this whole thing. I just wish that we would have gotten there a different way.
Yeah,
but I still love the scene. Yeah.
But no, that last scene, though, like when the mom's trying to kind of like influence, like, "Hey Lee, it's all like just join me," like kind of in this way, like join the family business. And as she's described, like trying to persuade her, you hear in the background the husband stabbing the wife and all that.
Yeah,
like, oh shit! I was like, God, talk about cutting the cake. Like, what kind of cake is that, man?
Yeah, because you kind of expect her to run in there, right, and try to save her, and she's like looking at her mom, and you can hear her just like being stabbed. And I was like, fuck.
Here's the question, though, guys: was this movie scary to you guys at all? Did you get scared? I know Brett got a little scared. I think
of course I did, especially the opening scene where like Nick Cage like just popped out anywhere, and all the girlfriends in my theater just like, "Ah!" And I went, "Okay, good."
All the girlfriends. How many girlfriends you taking?
Wow,
to the theater?
I'm talking about the boyfriends of the girlfriends, and when they shriek, I was like, "This is the perfect time to shriek!" Ah! And that's where I got away with it.
They were in there pumping those fucking EpiPens, baby.
Oh god, old school throwback.
I mean, for all the hype of it being the scariest movie of the past decade or whatever, that's just a weird phrase to. I think that it's very atmospherically unsettling, and that's it's properly creepy that way. I don't know that I mean, of course, I don't think there's really that many jump scares in there. By design, I was never really that scared.
When they start throwing out the scariest movie ever, that's always going to be a little bullshit. Like, it's never true.
Well, yeah, that's subjective. So
yeah,
always good to see.
I want to give credit for our non-spoiler review for that video in the comic session. Crawl brought up a great word to describe this movie. It's that whole sense of dread. Like, you dread of what's going to happen, where it's going. You don't want to go on this path, but you're kind of interested to see where it's going to go. So I just want to give him credit for that, because I think that's a great word to describe this movie. And I'm agreeing. this is the thing though. Like me, I know I got late into the horror game, so I'm still trying to catch up on popular titles. But I'm at the point now where it's really hard to truly scare me. But what this movie did, wasn't trying to scare you. It was just like Brad said, trying to create that whole dark and uncomfortable atmosphere. And I think that was one of the best uncomfortable atmospheres we've had in the horror genre in such a very long time.
Totally. You know, one thing I was talking about with a friend earlier too that I really enjoyed that I noticed a couple times in the movie was the use of the president's pictures to dictate what time frame.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
Bill
It's
Clinton's
like,
in there like a motherfucker, dude. All
It's like-
in the boss's office.
as soon as we saw him, like, I liked it because it didn't have to spell out, where, the time period you're in. Like, you throw that
Yeah.
in there, you're in the 90s. Like, that's what you need to know. And I
Maybe
think
he
there was
just
another-
really loves Bill Clinton.
he just left it up.
Well, they
It
did
could
have
be
cell
2020.
phones in it, so
Yeah. Yeah. So I like that. I did like that quite a bit. It's just a little thing. There were scenes where he was like framed right in the middle, though. Clinton was.
I know.
He was right up in there.
I did not have sexual relations with Longlegs.
Well,
That's
Oh yeah,
sounded
can we
like
get
Longlegs.
to that? Can we get to that real quick? And I think this is a bullshit like negative that a lot of people are throwing around. Like, what's he called Longlegs for? Who the fuck
No.
cares? It's not important about what his name is.
I
it's
wore my
about what he
long
does.
legs today.
It's not all about that, though. It's just about what he represents and what he does. It's not. I don't give a shit. His name is Tits McGee. Like, I don't give a shit.
I put on my
I-
tits McGee today.
I don't either. I thought the title was really cool. I don't know. I don't know what it means.
It
I
was
don't know.
intriguing.
Yeah, it was. It sucks me in, and I'm like, I like that. That's a cool.
He has
title.
long
It
legs.
blows you
I mean,
away.
Yeah.
One thing that I knew that I was in for a ride, and I didn't really know, and I still don't know if it was effective. I'll say that. I don't know if I really love it or hate it, but right after that creepy ass scene, they're playing the opening credits, but it's set against like a really upbeat classic rock song.
Yeah. Well,
And I-
Longlegs,
and
he loved the music.
Yeah, but I was kind of like, well, that's fucking weird. And then at the end, he's like, "Hail Satan," and they play "Bang a Gong."
Yeah.
So I was like, this is kind of a weird music choice there. But
Speaking of the freaking
I don't know
end
if that
credits, though, it did it. Like, did y'all notice it did it in reverse? Versus like doing like the director and producer, cast members, and showed all the cast and then all the behind the scenes stuff. They went in reverse, and the words came up from like down like this, showing like the producer, like showing the behind the scenes stuff, then the cast, and then the director. I thought that was pretty neat.
I know Mr. Legs likes his music though. He likes to rock out.
Mhm.
Like I think that's
Mommy, Daddy.
You want to?
Oh my gosh, it kind of reminds me of Kick Ass. Take cover, child.
What's
This
your
blood.
name, little angel? When's your birthday? Daddy,
Oh,
the
man.
creepy guy's here again. That
Oh,
was
dude,
fucking awesome.
when he did that particular voice, I definitely thought of Candy Cane from Joyride.
Candy cane.
Candy
He's mentally unstable in the movie though. I know I said it already. I like that though. I love it. I love the fuck out of it. That guy's fucking weird, man.
I almost just love this movie more just by talking about it on this particular video. And I cannot wait till it comes out, hopefully on a streaming platform, so I can rewatch this again and love it even more.
Yeah,
I think-
I'm excited for the rewatch. We'll see what happens with that.
I love the hell out of the movie, and I think it's going to be one that the more you watch it, the more you appreciate. For me, I think, for me personally, the more I watch it, I should say, the more I'm going to pick out things and appreciate things a little bit more. And yeah, I'm excited to watch it again. I really am. I can't wait.
And this definitely will be the most split film of 2024 too.
Yeah, except for Split, if it came out in 2024.
What the fuck was that?
That was Goldmember's
Aw.
laugh.
Don't get your hands. You're gonna get your hands wet.
Anywho, but
I'm sorry.
How much alcohol was in that Bart?
Chris, did we change your mind just a little bit?
No.
You're an asshole.
No, and listen, I'm so glad that you guys loved it. I really am. I wanted to. Like I said, I just don't. It just some of it just did not work for me, man. It did not connect with me. I don't know. what it was. I needed something more out of the story, and maybe a little bit of a subdued performance from Nicolas Cage. And
Said nobody ever.
Cuckoo. Cuckoo.
Okay, actually, this is a great last question to ask. Out of all the Nicolas Cage, all of his hundreds of movies, would you put this movie, like his performance in this movie, like in the top 5 or even the top 10? Because I say top 5.
I would put it up in the top 10. You know, I mean, like I said, I appreciate the performance. You know, it just didn't match with everything else to me. It just didn't work for me. I don't know how else to explain it. I don't hate it. There's so many things to love about it. I just wanted to really. I wanted it to be like, you know, my favorite movie of the year or whatever, and it's definitely not going to be.
Well, I get that because I wanted Maxine to be my favorite of the year, and that movie kind of disappointed me. So in a way, Max, like what Longlegs is to you is like what Maxine is to me. But,
okay,
I totally understand that.
Yeah. Here's how the encounter went. Like Bert and I, we were hanging out on Thursday night doing Nightmare on Elm Street watch party. We had, you know, Danny Banner, we had Mel. We were having a good time. Chris went and saw this movie, and we were like, "Damn, man, he's going to see it before us. He's going to tell us how good it is. It's going to be awesome." He gets out of the movie after the show. After the movie, we said, "Hey, Chris, how was the movie?" He said, "Hey, I'm not saying shit, but what'd you say? What'd you say? Nick Cage is a national treasure, though." And Brett's like, "Hey, what's your rating, though?" He said, "I ain't saying shit. You're going to have to go in blind." So we go in the next morning. I go to see the movie at 11:30 or 12 or whatever time it was. I get out. I'm like, man, that's the best fucking thing I've seen in a fucking minute. I texted that to Chris. He said, man, I hated it. I didn't like it at all. And I said, this motherfucker.
He said bullshit.
I did. I was like, don't bullshit me. Don't bullshit me. I said
don't lie to me.
Mommy. Daddy.
I knew. I was like, fuck, man. Why is he... It's not going to be Nick Cage playing a serial killer. It's Nick Cage playing a serial killer. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
If you're looking for a great detective movie, you know, go watch Silence of the Lambs.
And this is why Chris Harley comes onto the channel with his bring in his motherfucking bullshit into this thing. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We love freaking Chris every time he's on here. And of course, we love you listening to us spoil the hell out of this movie. So I'm going to have to ask you guys, what did you think about our spoiler review for Longlegs? Do you agree with all of our thoughts between me and Brad? Or are you kind of like on the clip that Chris is saying that you love some parts of it, but you really do not like parts of this movie? Or do you straight up hate this movie? Let us know in the comment section down below. Let's get that discussion rolling.
If you want to help us find the good reels, you can just find us all of our links to our socials right down there in the description.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, you're going to exit us out, man. How are you going to do that?
Cuckoo.
All together now.
Cuckoo. 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 Cuckoo.
Mama. Ooh.
Daddy.
Probably. Oh, shit,
all right, Brad's freaking me out. We'll see you all for the next one.
What's your name, little agent?